Hey everyone, welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. I'm your host, Che Dorena. Now a little while ago we did a list of top 10 scary Happy Meal toys. Basically a bunch of toys that were given to kids to either try and kill them or scar them emotionally, or stuff that looked like something no kid should play with. One of them was a jellyfish that looked like a penis. And you guys loved it! So I went in search of other twisted gifts that have been given to kids through fast food chains. For today's list of top 10 scary Happy Meal toys, part 2. As always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Make sure you stick around for the whole list because I want each person to comment how many of these toys they've actually played with. I wonder if we can get anyone who's gotten all 10. I bet you we can't. And without taking any longer, let's get into it. Number 10. The Tickle Feather. What sounds like a good time to kids? Running up to a bunch of strangers and slowly stroking them with a foam feather? Well, I hope the answer is no. If you're a kid who loves doing this, please try a PlayStation, it's much better. Well, McDonald's seemed to think that kids would actually love invading the personal space of all their friends and family, so they released the Tickle Feather. It might have actually been called the McTickle Feather, which makes it even funnier and even creepier, but I couldn't lock this down for sure. This toy is pretty old, it comes way of 1982. The point of the toy is you take it, run up to people, and give them a little tickle tickle tickle. But we all know that no one ever in history of people ever wants to be tickled. It only leads to inappropriate touching and peed pants. Also, this was made out of foam and given to kids. And what does foam do? It can be squashed and then it expands. And what do kids love to do? Eat everything. So on top of this toy being the worst lesson in personal space, it was also a major choking hazard. Number 9. The Ronald McDonald Mask. Okay, this one seems like a deliberate attempt to create unrest in the middle-class American home. The Ronald McDonald Mask is exactly what it sounds like. It's a mask that would turn every kid who put it on into the famous McDonald's mascot, Ronald McDonald. And what is Ronald McDonald? A clown. So that means there would have been thousands, if not millions, of little clowns running around North America at one point. This is almost worse than that thing that happened a few years ago where there was a bunch of full-grown adults that were dressed up as clowns and started hanging out in parks. I can imagine how many kids developed a lifelong fear of clowns when their friends' faces went from smiling youths to soul-stealing circus freaks. Nobody likes clowns. I don't even think clowns like clowns. I would have loved to see the parent who got this Happy Meal for their kid and then later that night they're like, "Timmy, come downstairs for dinner. Dinner's ready." And then walks in a mini clown boy like, "Feed me." I think McDonald's should come up with a new mascot. Number 8. Ronald McDonald Sunglasses. I don't know why McDonald's really wants to put Ronald McDonald's face on other kids' faces. You already give them poison that causes childhood obesity. Isn't that enough? Leave their poor faces alone. I'm sure you can picture exactly what these look like. They have the classic Ronald McDonald colors spread throughout sunglasses. Not that creepy. And it seems like even though McDonald's really doesn't care about your kid's gastrointestinal tract, they really care about their eyes. For whatever reason, right in the middle of these sunglasses is Ronald's face creeping out of them. And the expression makes me want to wash my eyes out with a Brillo pad. He's got this blank serial killer smile. I feel like this is the last thing you would see after you took a wrong turn when you were wandering around a creepy carnival. These sunglasses would make it so hard to have some fun in the sun because every time you look at them, you keep remembering that after the sun goes down, there's only darkness. Number 7. The Michael Jordan Fitness Fun Challenge. Yes, the Michael Jordan. We're talking about the GOAT. The guy who has some of the most amazing highlight reels in sports. Of course McDonald's would want to pair up with one of the biggest celebrities of the 90s. Also, McDonald's giving away a fitness fun challenge to kids disguises the fact that McDonald's doesn't care about your fitness at all. The only challenge is trying to keep an 8-year-old's blood pressure down after eating a 10-piece McNugget meal. But these toys were all pretty normal. There was a mini basketball, which went flat after 2 uses of course, a stopwatch, a foam football for some reason. But the deadly part about this Happy Meal was the skipping rope. It looked like a normal skipping rope, but it was too short for almost every kid who used it. And what happens when you use a skipping rope that's too short? It whips you in the back of the head. Countless little Michael Jordan fans had red lashes across the back of their skulls because they just wanted to train like the GOAT. It wasn't long before all of these skipping ropes were thrown in the trash because no preteen likes to spend their days getting slapped in the back of the head with a chunk of plastic. Number 6. Mighty Duck Pucks. More sport-themed toys that threaten the life of young children. children. You might say that McDonald's knows nothing about exercising. Huh. The Mighty Duck pucks were inspired by the Mighty Ducks animated series, which was a bunch of anthropomorphic ducks from space who defend Earth with hockey-themed superpowers. Very strange. This Happy Meal toy took each one of the duck-billed superheroes and slapped them on top of a hockey puck. But not like a silk screen pressed image. No, that would make too much sense. These pucks had huge plastic characters jutting out of them. Of course, McDonald's said you could actually play hockey with these guys. What ended up happening is while kids were slap-shotting these danger pods into nets, plastic figures would fly off and smash into who knows what. Sometimes a tree, sometimes a road, but every now and again it would collide right into a kid's face. I mean, of course. Why would you put a piece of breakable plastic on something that was intended to be smashed with a hockey stick? Duh. Number 5. Camping tools. You can tell there are points where the people at McDonald's who are in charge of picking toys run out of ideas. One week it's Power Rangers and the next week it's camping tools. Super lame. And the scary thing about this pack of plastic landfill contributors was the frying pan. It was a little imitation frying pan that kids could use to simulate cooking while roughing it in the great outdoors. The only problem is some kids actually tried to use it to cook. When you give kids things that are supposed to replicate what adults do, they'll actually try to use it for what it's supposed to be used for. There were a bunch of reports of these things being melted down to stovetops because some little tykes wanted to whip up some quick grub. It was a very dangerous fire hazard. Number 4. Toothbrush and toothpaste. Most kids already hate going to the dentist, so why not bring the wonders of dental hygiene to somewhere where they thought they could escape their worries? Not only does the dentist flashback suck for kids, but having a toothbrush and toothpaste considered a toy is one of the biggest rip-offs of all time. No one has fun brushing their teeth. You do it because you don't want to end up looking like Tom Cruise in The Outsiders. The scary part about this one is being a kid excited to get a Happy Meal bonus, and then you're just reminded that your mouth will decay every day unless you take care of it. Also, McDonald's, stop pretending like you care about our health. I feel like McDonald's branded anthrax or a handgun would be much more on the mark for them. If it makes it any better, this was back in 1983. I guess back then they didn't know kids wanted to play with G.I. Joes instead of scraping plaque. Number 3. Gardening tools. Back in the 80s, McDonald's wanted to celebrate Earth Day by making some gardening themed toys that were supposed to inspire kids to get out of the house. Leave it to one of the largest polluters in the world to think it's a great idea to make a bunch of plastic toys to honor the earth. Once again, these toys fall in the category of super lame things that never should be given to kids. I don't know how many kids out there are avid gardeners, but I'm sure it's not enough to warrant this lame excuse for a good time. The Happy Meal came with all sorts of fun gardening tools, like hand rakes, shovels, a water pail, and a greenhouse. All stuff kids would get super excited for. The only good thing that came out of these turd toys is that if you decided to hold on to one of them for whatever reason, they're going for a pretty high price on eBay. That is crazy. Climate change is happening before our eyes, and people choose to spend money on vintage McDonald's toys. Have fun eating those in the apocalypse. Number 2. Karaoke Disco CD. I couldn't imagine missing the mark on more fronts. First, we have karaoke. Karaoke is kind of for kids, but it's mostly for drunk adults who tell you that if you come out with them for karaoke, they won't make you sing. And then as soon as you're there, they pressure you to sing. Next, we have disco. What kid is bobbing their afro to disco? I never thought of disco as something to throw on for my little nieces and nephews. The biggest problem with this karaoke CD was that it had Donna Summer's hit Last Dance on it. Now, I love Donna Summers. She's one of the greats. But the song Last Dance contains the words, "I'm so horny." So that means a CD that was made for kids to sing along to would have them belting out the words, "I'm so horny." Obviously, parents were pissed because they all had to explain to their kids what horny means. Number 1, weed and a pipe. I know Colorado has been getting very progressive with these weed laws, but this is ridiculous. Okay, this wasn't a toy that was actually given out at McDonald's. I'm sure if it was, there'd be a lot more kids that were super chill to hang out with. But at a McDonald's in Chicago, a McDonald's employee needed a place to hide his weed while he was at work, so he stuck it in a Happy Meal box. I don't know why he wouldn't just keep it in his bag. Well, someone loaded the box up with Happy Meal food without checking it and then handed it off to some kid who was probably like, "Mommy, there's some stinky grass in here." This later got turned over to the police, then the employee who was involved got arrested. Man, you work at McDonald's, you lose your weed, and then you get arrested. This guy's having a tough week. Well, that's our list. I hope everyone had a great time watching this video. Be sure to let us know in the comments which ones were your favorite. As always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Until next time, I've been Chaderena, and I'm gonna dig through some of my old stuff to see if anyone wants to buy it on eBay. See ya.